So this morning, Sunday service is called Back to Basics. Back to Basics. Okay, so divine principle. Sorry, I forgot to put the first part. The first part is in the direct dominion of God. So when a person achieves their original value, right? According to the divine principle, when a person achieves their original value, that's what it means by in this realm, they freely and fully share love and beauty according to the will of the subject and subject partner, thus realizing the purpose of goodness. The realm of direct dominion is the realm of perfection. Entering this realm is essential for the fulfillment of the purpose of creation. So in essence, if we study the divine principle, it says that the purpose of history was to arrive, the purpose of the history of restoration was, does anyone have an idea of what the purpose, any hands up for what the purpose of the history is? What is the one point that history is pointing to according to the divine principle? I guess you guys are older, so I shouldn't ask these questions. For the kids, it's a little bit better. Does somebody want to answer? No? Yes, no? To come back to God. Yes. But the course in order to, the purpose of history according to the divine principle is to bring the Messiah, right? To bring one man who can fulfill the original purpose of creation. Like one man on earth. The entire purpose of history is for the entire purpose of history since the fall of man has been to bring one person on the earth who can fulfill the original value of humanity. That's kind of like, for me, that's a little mind-blowing, honestly, to think that that's the purpose of history. But if we look at the Bible, right, during the fall of man, it says that after Adam falls, God brings these cherubims with flaming swords to protect the tree of life. The tree of life, according to divine principle, is Adam. So in other words, what was lost at the fall of man was Adam, right? Adam was lost and Eve was lost. So they were physically not lost. We call it spiritually lost. So what exactly did we lose, right? It's, when we really get into the details of it, it's confusing, right? But in a sense, if we really think about it, or if you really examine, if I examine myself, let's put it this way, I feel like I have lost myself. I don't know who myself really is. So I feel like, I'm assuming that we all kind of feel that way, according to the divine principle. I don't want to speak for another person. Like, I know who I am. So, in a way, right, the establishment of one person to actually know who they are, like who their actual self is the purpose of history. So we have lots of books, so we have the Bible, and we have divine principle, and we have all kinds of teachings, right? In fact, Jesus didn't say too many words in the Bible. He said very few words, right? One of those famous words that he said was, forgive others, right? Forgive others 70 times 70. I don't know the specific quote. So, out of all the words that Jesus said, which weren't many, one of his words was forgive your enemy, right? Now, if we look at the history of Christianity, which is mostly in Europe, what we see is a history of war, right? Actually, I read War and Peace by Tolstoy, and he goes into like this long, soliloquy about how curious that Christian men have just been killing each other. And he was talking about Napoleon, invading Russia at that time, and just the tragedy of these righteous people who are studying the Bible and who are following the words of Jesus Christ, and who are just brutally killing each other. So, in other words, we have learned about Christianity, but we have not learned the basics. So that's why it's called Back to Basics. So the basics is, the basic fundamental teachings is always what we don't understand. Like, we're like, well, the divine principle says right here that you should blah, blah, blah. No, we should blah, blah, blah. So, but we seem to not be able to understand the most fundamental things. The most fundamental things, which are, who am I, and who are you, and how should we relate to each other, and like, how should we treat each other, and what's like our original value. I mean, is your original value that you're a Democrat or a Republican, or that you are, it's not, right, that you're a man or a woman? Like, we seem to be unable to reach that point. It's elusive to us, because it's the most difficult thing. It's the most difficult thing to find ourselves. Okay. So this is from Reverend Sun Myung Moon's speech, How to Gain Spiritual Help. So consider all things holy. Why does a handkerchief owned by a holy man become so valuable? Because of the vibration of the holy man. So you too should give all things a holy value. When you touch something, feel that you are giving it glory. So as you can see there, Reverend Moon doesn't say, so I give value to all things, right? Does he say that? He says, you too should give all things holy value, right? He's talking about us. He's asking us, or he's suggesting to us that we should learn these basic things. He's not trying to just preach it to us so that we go and tell other people what they should do. He wants us to do it, right? But that's the hardest thing, right? For me, I can tell you it's a very difficult thing. My house is often a mess. I'm often like, oh, I don't want to clean. Like, just even giving one thing, even looking at one thing and thinking, wow, that thing is absolutely holy, is a lot of effort, right? Or even seeing a person as holy, even seeing yourself as holy is a huge accomplishment. And I can say for myself, throughout my spiritual life, it seemed such a great and impossible task that it was like, basically just skirt around the edges, skirt around the edges, try to do this and try to do that, and do this good thing and do that good thing. But touching that point was so elusive and so difficult because, like, internally, there's so many blocks, within ourselves. Resentment, anger, fear, disillusionment, misunderstanding, or just craziness. So it's like this huge wall within ourselves that is often feels impenetrable, and but it's actually the purpose. That is what we should be working on. And I think often we fail to see the forest for the trees. We get busy with life and we forget. We don't forget. I think that we don't forget. I think that sometimes we just don't know how to do it. It's very difficult to do. So anyhow, I got this book from a friend called Power versus Force. And it's really been helping me to kind of evaluate myself. So I'm going to just read one little quote from them. It goes, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't finish reading that quote from Reverend Moon. The same holds true for the people we meet and live with. When you see another person, how much do you care for him or her? How much do you feel toward that person? You must really love the people you meet, because they are the temples of God. When you touch another person, feel that through your touch, both of you will be blessed. Has anyone ever felt that? Yeah. Sometimes. There we go. 1 holy man. 3. Right? So we have moments, right? We have moments. But that's so beautiful, right? That's so beautiful. And for me, myself, I saw that in Reverend Moon. I saw him and how he treated each person. It was so beautiful. It was just so extraordinary. Even just to receive, like, a look. That one look was like, I've like a unicorn blessing on me, Yeah. I'll give you a little testimony. When I first joined the church, I don't know if I gave this testimony already. When I first joined the church, I had to give flowers to Reverend Moon. Did I say this already?
No.
Oh, okay, so I had just joined the church, and we lived in Boston, and we were selling flowers, and it snowed, so all our flowers died. So I think that the people in the center were like, wow, everyone's going to get really depressed. So let's go to Tarrytown, which is New York. So we got in the vans in the middle of the night, didn't take a shower, went to see Reverend Moon give at that time he would always give 5 o'clock pledge service in New York. And so we got there, and I was wearing this dirty jacket and this horrible skirt, my sneakers. And we got there, and I was sitting in the back, and this man goes, "Who would like to give flowers to Reverend Moon?" And like my hand just shot up, like there was no thought, like, pew, I want to be. And I was shocked because no one else's hand went up. I was like, it was just me and this other Puerto Rican sister, like both of us, like the Spanish sisters were like, me, So they were like, okay, I guess you too, because we were the only ones. I mean, there were a lot of people there. I don't know why they didn't want to do it. I was like, absolutely. So we're like both like all shaking and crying. And, so we flipped the coin, who's going to give one to Father, who's going to give one to Mother. So she got Mother, and I was like, oh, yes, I get to give the flowers to Reverend Moon. So, just, kind of feeling really crazy and praying and not knowing how to feel. And then I remember, you walked into the room, and all of the children were sitting, they were kneeling. At that time, everybody sat on the floor. At that time, everyone was sitting on the floor. The Reverend Moon's children were all sitting there. And we walked up, and and Reverend Moon was giving flowers to everyone. I mean, everyone was saying hello, blah blah blah. So they were standing like this and like that. So Reverend Moon was here, and Mrs. Moon was here, and then me and her were standing here and here. So I was standing over here, and Reverend Moon was over there, and I was like, oh, he's just going to turn around like this, and she's going to give him flowers. I was like, oh no, this is terrible. So I was really upset. So I was just standing there like, oh no, I'm just to give him to Miss Moon. I want to give him to Reverend Moon. So I'm standing there, and then suddenly, and I'm taller than him. I was taller than him. Suddenly he just like literally appeared right in front of my face and looked straight into my eyes. And I was like, and it was just such an the words that came with the look were, there you are. I have been looking for you. And it was such a beautiful experience. It was just, I was so overwhelmed with love. I remember that I was like, boosh. And I remember I handed the flowers over, and I lost consciousness. I remember turning around and skipping off the stage like a little kid, like a little girl. And I'm a big lady, so it kind of probably looked pretty funny. Anyways, so that was one look, right? One, like that moment where you experience love in such a way where someone sees you in a way that you've never seen yourself, right? So how can we try to be like that? But what happened here? Oh, okay. So this book, there's this one little it has like a really interesting stuff. Here it goes. Simple kindness to oneself and all that lives is the most powerful transformational force of all. It produces no backlash, has no downside, and never leads to loss or despair. It increases one's own true power without exacting any toll. So it's actually really hard to love someone when you're filled with problems within yourself, right? When we really, if we really take time to look into, or when I take time to look into myself, I have found a lot of complicated and unpleasant things inside of me. Shame and regret and resentment and fear and anger and things that are actually very painful and difficult to look at, and often we, are the things that we feel are not because we've been innocent. It's often because we've done something wrong. So it's very difficult to go and be all like, I love you, love other people, when we can't forgive ourselves and when we can't love ourselves. So in other words, the process begins with me, and that process, in a way, is a process that helps the world, right? When you start with if you can't deal with yourself, you can't deal with anyone else. So dealing with yourself is like the purpose of history, right? Dealing with, like, being able to forgive ourselves and to love ourselves is like the most important thing that we can begin to do, because then that becomes, like James was talking about. It's kind of, you throw a pebble of goodness and it expands, right? So it begins with us, like trying to be able to forgive ourselves. And it's actually kind of a very, I think I can speak for myself, it's a scary thing to do, and it's also a beautiful thing to do. The Reverend Moon talks about that there are three levels of growth, right? There's a formation level. I can't remember all the names. The formation, growth, and perfection level, right? So the first level is I can't remember. Oh my gosh, my brain. So level number 1 is law, right? Then faith, and then level number 3 is love, right? So law, right? We follow the law. It's called Old Testament age, So goodness means we do everything that we're told, and we, follow the rules, and these are the rules, and these are the rules. These are the rules, these are the rules. And if you don't fulfill the rules, you're bad, right? So that's the Old Testament level, and that's the level that, a level that we go through in our growth. And then we go through a level of faith, like, I believe that, things are going to get better. I believe it, Someday, I hope. Do I believe that? So then we go through a level of faith, right? But eventually we need to enter the level of love. Now, once we enter the level of love, the level of love is a level where basically, like, law kind of dwindles, right? You can't control love. Love is absolutely like, it's scary almost, right? Because love can be good and love can be bad. So you enter into a world that is very difficult to control. So it's a scary thing to enter into the world of love, to enter into the world of beauty, right? Because it's uncontrolled. You can't control it with your will, right? So in a way, the only way that we can control is probably not the right word, is we have to restore love. So we have to purify it. And that's the only way you can really control it. Because love has no boundaries. Love, you can't put it in jail. You can put your body in jail, you can put your mind in jail, but you cannot put love in jail. You can't close your heart and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So we have to be able to restore love eventually. Right? And that begins with forgiveness for ourselves. So, since we're supposed to have homework is forgive yourself. Amen. All right, so I'll say it. All right. Good morning, Heavenly Father. Good morning, saints and sages throughout history. All of the people through history have walked a path of restoration, and we have, all the people in the future, all of us are called to walk this path. It's often confusing, it's often painful, and it's often difficult, but it's also beautiful, and it's also filled with hope. So we would like to sincerely ask for your guidance, Heavenly Father. We would like to ask for the guidance of Jesus and all of the good people in the spiritual world, that they may please guide each and every one of us and our children, the people that aren't here, and even everyone, all of us. Please teach us how to restore ourselves and how to treat each other in a more holy way. We offer in gratitude this prayer. Amen.